Good morning, Erwin. Good morning, Steve.
How are you doing, Mo?
No complaints.
Good.
No complaints. Different between Rabbi Ken and the other two. Much
A
different.
little bit.
Well, he doesn't yell.
Yeah.
His demeanor is different. That's the best way I could describe it.
Very much so.
Shalom ben Arav
Oh,
Tzvi
okay.
Hirsch, Shalom
Okay.
Yaakov ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch, Shmuel ben Arav
Yes.
Asher Federbush, Ariel Paul Federbush, Sharon and Fred Lister, their family and many friends, in memory of her dear mom, Harriet Friedman, Evel Bat Yaakov, Leslie and Gail, in memory of their parents, Harry and Marjorie Sedell, Irving and Pearl Kaplan, friends of Avi Gitler, Avram Meir Ben Shimon and Martha Gitler, Chana Bat Yeshaya, children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren of Toby Paris.
Gonna be one of those days.
I was going to tell him his camera was off, but I guess they haven't put it on yet. And now the sound is off. I don't know. Let's just see what's happening there. Yeah, Bromberg's camera is off. No, what could I do? Trying to connect audio now.
It's the entire connection.
Yep. Now, Erwin's computer is probably better than Bromberg's phone.
Yeah, okay. You guys hear me all right?
Yeah, we can hear you now. No
Barely.
picture, but no picture. We have no
No
camera.
picture? All right.
No camera yet. Are you on Erwin's or Bob's?
Everyone's phone.
Okay, Erwin doesn't have a camera yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Erwin is off. Oh. Hi. Okay. Yes, it is. Oh, I guess that's good. Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right.
So our Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri, he's checked Shaboli Avne when they arrived in Glue Rabban Gamliel. But Rabban Gamliel accepted them as their witnesses. Okay. Va'od and furthermore, Bo Shnai really do not know. Okay, we saw it in
Oh, well. Hey, Steve,
Yes.
I don't know. I guess
Yeah. Okay. Did you hear it?
well,
We
we can
lost you
hear.
entirely.
So Rabbi Yeshua at this point seems to agree with Rabbi okay, certain aspects of Torah learning that were more than that of Rabban Gamliel. V'talmidi shekibalta et dvarai. And you're my student, and that you've accepted basically my authority.
What, what gave Rabbi Gamliel the power to ask Rabbi
He was the
Yeshua?
Nasi.
But
He was the hereditary.
He was the hereditary Nasi.
I understand, but Rabbi Yeshua held that Yom Kippur was a certain day, so he was telling them to Machalo Yom.
That's right.
Yom Tov,
That's
on the
right.
day that he felt.
Exactly. And this is not the only case in the Gemara where we find let's put it this way, friction, okay, between Rabbi Yeshua and Rabban Gamliel.
That's from Adam.
Well, I'm going to hint at that.
Looks like
Okay.
sworn.
Ultimately, I think it's an Eduyot, if I don't remember correctly, correct me. Ultimately, we will see a story brought into the Gemara where the sages were so unhappy with what was considered to be Rabban Gamliel's authoritarian rule, okay, that they actually deposed him, replaced him temporarily, right, as the Nasi, okay, and then eventually things
He
were,
shared power.
okay, right, eventually things were reestablished, but only in such a way that Rabban Gamliel would speak 3 days, Shabbos a month, and Rabbi Eliezer ben Azar, right? He was the real, right? Right.
Yeah, I just want to get the Mishnah explained to us to answer. The Beis Din or the Sanhedrin has the authority to declare the date of a month. We had I think yesterday or the day before. If the procedure is somewhat delayed and they don't get to announce it in the afternoon, it's automatically pushed till tomorrow. So it's not based on Mitzias, it's based on the proclamation of the Beis Din. And Rabban Gamliel was the Nasi of the
Okay,
Beis Din Sanhedrin. So he had the right to say
See you when you come back.
was. It doesn't matter what they saw in the sky. Today, the calendar is not based on the year. The calendar is juggled to make sure that Hoshana Rabbah does not come out on Shabbos. Yom Kippur does not come out on Friday or Sunday. And nonetheless, we accept the holidays with perfect, because Hillel HaSheni had the right to do that.
So it's a halachic.
Right.
It's
So, well,
no, it's a halachic fact that contradicts astronomy.
okay, we're going to come back to this issue through the Gemara in another venue. Okay? All we've seen so far is that the Mishnah has said to us, it would appear that Rabbi Yeshua challenged the authority of Rabban Gamliel the Nasi, but ultimately accepted. Okay? So rather than getting ahead of ourselves, we want to see perhaps the Gemara itself was not comfortable with this scenario. As we've said elsewhere, the Gemara tells us there were other frictions between them, okay, and what happened, right? But at this point, we are going to see shortly that the Gemara is going to tell us it's possible that Rabban Gamliel had a certain Masorah, and that Masorah was handed down from Nasi to Nasi, and as a result, okay, that was part of the authority given to the Nasi to declare the Kodesh, as we'll see. Okay, let's go on now. Gemara, right? Tanya, Tatna Brighton. Amar lehem Rabban Gamliel lechachamim. He said to the sages, Kach mekublani mi beit avi abba. This is what I have as a Masorah from my grandfathers. Okay? Ha'amim sheba'aruka ba'aruka. Pa'amim sheba b'ktsara. There are times when the moon has a shorter path. I'm going to use that phrase. There are times when the moon has a longer. If you're interested, Koren has a long commentary on this particular phrase that actually spells it out scientifically and indicates how that there can be a difference of as much as 13 hours
In terms of the invisibility.
in terms of the, right, in terms of the waxing and waning of the moon. Okay? So the fact that Rabbi Gamliel is saying this is not simply the fact that he has a Masorah, but that the family was aware of what I'll call the astronomy, the science, whatever, okay, of this whole scenario. Okay. Now, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, he says, "My Tama Debei Rabbi." So, what was the reasoning behind that, Rabbi? Dichtiv, right? Aseh Yareich Lemoadim, Shemesh Yada Mabao. Okay, citing the pasuk again that deals with the moon, and then citing that connection with the holidays as well. Shemesh Hu Diadam Mabao. The sun knows it's coming and it's going. Okay? Yerach lo yada levo. But the moon does not necessarily know. It's
People don't.
people don't recognize. I think that's the implication. People recognize that the sun follows a specific pattern. Okay? They don't recognize, aren't aware that the moon, what the pattern always of the moon is. Rabbi Chia there was a situation, tells us in the Gemara, that Rabbi Chia, saw the waning moon, okay, in the morning, the Esrim B'Tesha, okay, of the 29th day, Shakal Kala, he took a clump of earth, right, Patak Be, and he heaved it, okay, up in the air, towards the moon, okay, Amar, and said, La Orta Ba'inu L'Kedushe Ba. Okay, in the evening, we're going to be required to sanctify you. Va'at Kayemet, and you're still here, so to speak, Kacha Zir Ichse, go and cover yourself. In other words, perform the appropriate phases of the moon. Amar le Rabbi Chia. And then we have now, since Rabbi Chia was mentioned, okay, it implies, I'm suggesting, that Rabbi Chia was also aware of the different phases and the movement of the moon. And that's what now we understand why Rabbi says to Rabbi Chia, Zir le'ein tav, I want you to go to a specific location, namely Ein Tav was the location. V'kadshe liyarcha v'shalach li siman. And I want you to go there and sanctify the moon. You're doing it on the authority of the Nasi, of the Beis Din, and you're going to send me back a message to know that you accomplished it. What is the message? Right? David Melech Yisrael, Chai v'Kayam. That's the message. Okay, going on. Tanu Rabbanan says a brighter. Pamechat nifashru shamayim ba'avim v'nir'et demut levana b'asrim v'tisha lechodesh. According to the Breita, there was one occasion where the clouds gathered and they covered the possibility of seeing the moon, and the image of the moon was seen on the 29th of the month. Kisvurim ha'am lamar rosh chodesh ubikshu beit din lekadsho. The people were under the impression that it must mean the new month, and they wanted the Beis Din to consecrate it, sanctify it. Okay? Amar lehem Rabban Gamliel, and Rabban Gamliel says, Kach mikublani mi beit avi abba. Again, I have a Masorah from my family, from my household, from my ancestors, grandfathers. Ein chidusha shalavana pechota me'esrim v'tisha yom u'mechza u'shnei shlishei sha'a v'ayin gimel chalakim. That his Masorah is that the moon takes 29 and a half days, right? And then Shnei
40
Shlishei
minutes.
Sha'ah and 2/3 hours and 72 chalakim, right? 73 chalakim, right? Voto hayom, okay, and what happened? All right, so given that situation, he had, this was the, and by the way, if you can get all daf, okay, which is the YU Gemara program for Daf Yomi, they have a special series of lectures right now. The first of which is by Rabbi David Heber, okay, who goes into this in excellent detail with pictures, okay, to actually show, yes, all right, with pictures, okay, it's well done, okay, and well worth looking at because he explains, okay, and it helps you appreciate the whole concept of why we announce the molad when we do and how we announce it, okay, and it's connected with this exact statement and worth viewing. Okay? Anyway, that's my plug for all Daf. Not to say that you shouldn't come to Daf Yom in person, all right? Okay, so what happens? Lo mipnei shera'uya, right? Not what happened that same day. Okay, there was a funeral, right? Namely, B'oto hayom meta imo shel ben Zaza, his mother died. V'espida Rabban Gamliel, okay, his fake gadol, and he gave a long eulogy. Lo mipnei shera'uya, not because she was worthy of the long eulogy. Why? He had once wanted, Ela kadei sheyedu ha'am shelo kitshu beit din et hachodesh.
It's not Rosh Chodesh.
Right, and that it wasn't Rosh Chodesh because you wouldn't eulogize on Rosh Chodesh. That's the point. Okay, let's go on. Halach Rabbi Akiva. We're back now to the previous story in the Mishnah, right? Rabbi Akiva went, Umatzo Meitzah, and he found sad. Who was sad? Says the Gemara. So they asked, Mimatzah, who was sad? Rabbi Akiva Meitzah or Rabbi Yoshua Meitzah? Was it Rabbi Akiva who was sad to find his colleague and teacher Rabbi Yoshua sad, or was it Rabbi Yoshua who was sad? Okay, Tashma, listen to the bright there. The Tanya halach Rabbi Akiva umatzol the Rabbi Yoshua kishahu Meitzah. Right, that spells it out for us. It was Rabbi Yoshua sad. Amarlo, he says, Rabbi. Why are you sad? And Marlo, he said to him, okay, Akiva, okay, called him by his first name. Ra'ui lo sheyipol lemata yud bet chodesh ba'al yigzor alav gzera zo. Okay, is it appropriate? All right, right, better that you be sick, all right, for 12 months. I would rather be, right? Better that one be sick, right? Not, he didn't spell out his own name.
He meant himself.
Yes, he meant himself, but better that one be sick for 12 months than have to undergo the terrible decree that I've been commanded to do, right? Amarle, Rebbe Tersheni Lomar Lefanecha Dava. Permit me to share with you a vort, so to speak, all right? That you taught, right, as a way of being, right? Amarlo, he said, and more. Say it. Amarlo, harehu omer, atem, atem, atem. The 3 times the phrase atem is found in the discussion. Shlosha pa'amim, atem, right? Now, he says, now it's otam. Okay? Now, 3 times. Otam. But you can remember we saw our previous drash that they changed atem to otam. Eila tikra'u atem, otam. Okay, otam atem, that was the drasha. Okay, afilu shogegin, even if it was done accidentally. Atem afilu mizidin, even if it was done with intention. Atem afilu mutim, even if it was
Witness
done,
is misled.
even if it was done under false
If
situation.
witness is misled,
Well, that's false pretense. V'lashon hazeh amar lo Akiva nechamtani nechamtani. Akiva, you have comfort. Valo etzel Rabbi Dosa ben Rabbi. What about that? He came to Rabbi Dosa. Anu Rabbanan, he says, Lama lo nitparshu shmotam shel zkenim halalu. Why weren't the names of the 70 elders spelled out? Shelo yamar adam ploni k'moshe v'Aaron. Is it so that they don't compare these individuals to Moshe and Aaron? Ploni kinedad v'avihu, or so-and-so to Ploni and Avihu. Ploni ke'eldad u'meidad, or so-and-so to Eldad and Meidad. All right? V'omer, and he says, Vayomer Shmuel el ha'am, citing another pasuk, right? From Hashem, Asher asa et Moshe v'et Aharon. V'omer, and he says further, Vayishlach Hashem et Yerubbaal, v'et Badan, v'et Yiftach. Okay? So in other words, we have two psukim that says basically that Hashem established these individuals as important authorities, role models, individuals. But notice on the one hand, which seems to contradict the statement of why didn't they spell out the names of these other 70 if you might compare them? Because here's two psukim that seem to be comparing Moshe and Aaron with these other individuals that Yubal, Bedan, and Yiftach, that we hardly know who they are, right? So what happens? Ve'et Shmuel, namely now we spell it out. Yubal ze Gidon, that was Gidon, one of the important shoftim. V'lama nikra Shmo Yerubal, and why was he called by the name Yerubal? She'asam riva im Baal, that he caused warfare, angry, fought with Baal. Bedan ze Shimshon. Bedan is the name of Shimshon. Why the nickname? V'lama nikra Shmo Bedan, da'ate mi Dan. Okay, because he came from the tribe of Dan. Okay, Yiftach Kemashma'o. And Yiftach, that was his actual name. Okay, let's go on with base. V'omer, and the text says, Moshe v'Aaron b'kohanav, u'Shmuel b'korei Shmo. Hey, this seems now to compare again Shmuel with Moshe v'Aaron. Okay, putting him almost on the same level. Shakal hakatuv shlosha kalei olam kishlosha chamurei olam. Okay, it seems that the Torah text is placing three of a more light, okay, or less significant individuals compared to three more significant, more important individuals. No marlach to tell you, Yerubal b'doro k'Moshe b'doro. Okay, that he was as important in his generation as Moshe in his. Bedan b'doro k'Aharon b'doro. Okay, and Shimshon was Bedan, was important in his generation like Aaron and his. Yiftach b'doro k'Shmuel b'doro. And Yiftach in his generation like Shmuel and his. L'lamedcha she'afilu kal shebekalim v'nitmana parnas al hatzibur harehu ke'avir sheba'avim, that the person who is appointed as a parnas, as a, I'm going to use the word leader, authority in that generation, okay, over the community, okay, in his generation is important as the greater leaders in theirs. Okay? Now, let's go on. By the way, it's just as a surprising side note that I don't think the Ashkenazi community frequently uses the term parnas, whereas the Sephardic community
still do.
Okay, still uses that term as another parallel term for Gabbai or somebody appointed from the community. Okay, now, va'omer, right? Va'omer, and we say, uvata el hakohanim halavim, ve'el hashafet asher yeh b'yamim ha'hem, that you go to the Kohen Levim and to the judge at that time. V'chi ta'aleh al da'atcha, she'adam holech etzel hadayan, shelo haya b'yamav. Is it possible that somebody might go, okay, and inquire the law from a judge not of his own time, okay, which is going to raise a whole separate question, which we're not going to get into right now, about the Masorah and Halacha and who do you cite, okay, as authorities when you cite Halacha, okay? But we won't go into that in detail now. Ein lecha lelech ela etzel shofet shebiyamav. Rather, a person should go to the judge who is at his generation, at his time. Another time we can discuss it. V'omer, and says, Al tomar mahaya shahayamim harishonim hayu tovim me'eleh. And don't say, oh, those old days, going back when, were much better, and therefore
Good old days.
the good old days. We'll go back when the snow was so high, right? Okay.
Well,
Things
this
like-
will uphill both ways.
Exactly. Okay. Now, coming back to our mission. Natam achlo u'ma'otav biyado, that he took his staff and his money bag, his purse, whatever, in his hand. Tanu Rabbanan, a new brightness. Kevan shira'a oto amad mikis. Oh, once he saw him, Rabban Gamliel saw Rabbi Yoshua coming. He stood up from his seat. V'nashko, he kissed him al rosho and kissed him on his head. Amarlo, and said to him, Shalom alecha Rabbi v'talmidi. Welcome, my student and my teacher. Right, my teacher and my student. Rebbe shalamadati Torah b'rabim. My teacher that you taught Torah in public. Okay. Notice, by the way, this Braita is different language than what we saw before. There it simply said Chachma. Okay?
Here he spells it.
Here it spells it. Right? V'talmidi she'ani gozer alecha gzera v'ata mekayma k'talmid. That I declared upon you. In other words, establish my authority and you accept it like a student. Okay? Ashrei hador shagdolim nishma'im l'ktanim. Happy then be the generation where I use the word elders, okay, the seniors listen to the youngers, okay? Kal v'chomer ktanim l'gedolim. How much more so when the juniors, so to speak, listen to the seniors, the elders. Kal v'chomer, you're making a kal v'chomer here? How's that possible? Chiyuvahu. It's an obligation that they should listen to their seniors. But since the elders listen sometimes to their juniors, that therefore, that these younger people, okay, carry a kal v'chomer, they carry a kal v'chomer by themselves to listen to their.
This is the basis for citing authorities.
Okay. It's possible. It's possible. Okay. Hadran alach in enan makiru. Okay. Now we get to a new Mishnah. Right? Our new Mishnah, okay, is dealing particularly with the issue of what happens, as we've seen this Mishnah before, if they did not declare the Mikudash before dawn. Ra'uhu Beit Din v'chol Yisrael nechkaru ha'edim v'lo hispiku lomar Mikudash ad shechashecha. Okay? The Beit Din song. And all the people were, let's say, interviewed. Okay, the witnesses were interviewed, but they did not complete the time of saying consecrated until it was dark. Arei zem uba. Automatically, then, according to the Mishnah, it should then fall into being considered a full month. right? Ra'uhu Beit Din Bilvad. Now we have a situation where members of the Beit Din themselves
We're the only.
were the witnesses. They were the ones who saw the moon. Ya'amdu shnayim v'ya'idu b'fneihem. Two of them should get up and testify before their colleagues. V'yamru mikudash, mikudash. And then it should be said that it's consecrated by the population twice. Now, further situations. Okay, Ra'uhu Shlosha. Let's say we only have a Beis Din of 3. Okay, and 3 of them saw, right? Or we have the whole Beis Din and 3 of them saw, right? Vehein Beit Din, right? And they're the Beis Din. Ya'amdu Hashnayim, 2 of them should, right, come stand up. V'yoshivu b'chavreihem. And then those 2 will act, okay? And then they sit other,
Put in 2 substitutes.
sit others, okay, that are not, so to speak,
Alternate
alternate, all right?
Alternate judge.
Okay, alternate judges, right? Okay, and have them sit, okay? All right? Eitzel hayachid, by that one from the 3, right? And continue. V'ya'idu b'fneihem, and testify before them. V'yamru mikudash mikudash. Okay, and therefore consecrate. She'ein hayachid ne'aman al yedei atzmo. Because a single individual is not permitted to declare it consecrated and is trusted to do so on his own. Okay. If that's the case, right, let's go on now with the Mishnah. The Gemara. Lama li lemitna ra'uhu Beit Din b'chol Yisrael. Why was it necessary in our Resha of this Mishnah to phrase it that it was seen by the Beis Din and the population? Right? Why was that required? It's tarikh. It was necessary to cite that example. Salka da'at chamina, because I could possibly say, Ho'il v'ra'uhu Beis Din b'chol Yisrael, apirsim Allah, that it's already, if the nation and the Beis Din saw it, it's public knowledge already. So if it's public knowledge, right? Why do you have to say then at the end of the Mishnah that if it's not recited by a certain time, it becomes immediately a full month, right? Velola ibruha, and don't make it a full month. Kamash malan, this comes to teach us that's not the case. The kevan detana le ra'u Beit Din v'chol Yisrael, since they taught that it was seen by the Beis Din and the whole population, and nechkaru ha'edim, and the as regards to, and the witnesses were examined. Lamali, why did it have to add that part of the statement? Hachi ka'amar, this is what it means. Inami nechkaru ha'edim. It's possible also that they interviewed the witnesses. V'lo hikidu lomar mikudash had shecha shecha. Right, and there wasn't enough time to make the announcement before God. Hare zem ubar, and then therefore it would be a full month. V'kevan detana ad shecha shecha, and since it was taught up till dark, hare zem ubar lamali, and the fact that it was then considered a full month, why was that required? Lemitnaye chakirat edim klal. Does this come to teach us that we needed the interview of the witnesses whatsoever? It's tarikh. It was necessary to state this. Salka da'at chamina, because I could have said tahave chakirat edim kitchilat din. That maybe I might say that the interview of these witnesses was this parallel to a act of a judgment, carrying out a legal case.
Beginning of the process.
Beginning of the process of starting a legal case. Umikudash mikudash kigamardin. and the statement of consecration was like the final act of judgment at the end of the case. Ulakadshe balayla, and therefore sanctify it at night. Midi dahave adine mamano, and then it would be fairly similar to a case like mamanos, okay, monetary law. Why? Because we have a Braita that tells as follows, a Mishnah that teaches as follows, Dinei mamonot danin b'yom, that laws of finances, right, financial issues, are judged during the day, v'gomrim b'layla, and they may be finished at night. Hachanami mekadshin b'layla. Here too, we may have thought then that it could be, they could declare the consecration of the Rosh Chodesh at night, right? But Hamash Malan comes to teach us that's not the case. Ve'ema hachinami, and I would say, what about also the other? Okay, why not? What's the issue? Amar. Why? Because we have a pasuk. Ki chok liYisrael hu mishpat le'Levei Yaakov. That it is a chok, but it is also a mishpat. Since that we use the word mishpat, we ask the question: Ematai have a chok? When is it considered a chok? The Gemar did, when we have a final end of the case, a final decision. V'kakare le rachmana mishpat. But here in our pasuk, the Torah calls it also a mishpat. In other words, chok and mishpat are connected in association. Ma mishpat bayom, af hachanami bayom. So here too, since mishpat has to be rendered during the day, therefore here also we say it has to be rendered during the day. The consecration of the money. Now, what about the following? Ra'ohu beit din ya'amdu shnayim v'ya'idu b'fneihem. That if members of the Beis Din saw the moon, two of them should get up and give testimony before the others. Va'amai, and why is that the case? Lo tehei shmiya gdola meriyah. Can't we say that hearing is more significant and more important than seeing? Isn't that the case? Okay, even though we have, pardon the pun, seen in the Gemara earlier, okay, that testimony al pi re'iyah is really preferred. Okay, Amar Rabbi Zera Kigon Shara'ohu Balayla. Okay, says Rabbi Zera. It says the question is, when did they see it? At Ra'uhu Shlosha. They were three, right? That's Ve'hein Beit Din, and they're part of the Beit Din. Yamdu Shnayim v'Yoshivu Mechavreihem. Eitzel Hayachid. Okay, that the two would testify, and they sit additional alternative judge individuals as judges with that one. Amai, why is that the case? Okay, so why did we have to bring that? Achanami name. Here too we might say, no, it shouldn't be necessary. Tehesh miyad gdola Maria, that hearing again is better than seeing. And if you want to say hachanami here too, kigon shara'uhu b'layla, that maybe you're going to argue, well, they saw it at night. Hainu hach, if that's the case, right? It's the same thing. Why do you still need the second case? Right? Seifa itztarichale, the end of statement in our Mishnah we needed. Why? The ein hayachid ne'eman al yedei atzma. That an individual is not qualified, I was going to say, to testify usually on his own.
To make the judgment.
To make a judgment. Okay, can't testify on his own, but we're going to see that's going to be questioned. Okay, but certainly can't judge on his own. Okay, now hold on, Sister Gemara. The Sakadata, you may have thought I could have said, Dine mamanot b'shlosha, that laws dealing with financial issues are done with three. V'imhaya mumche But in a case where we have, in that example, a specialist, right? V'im haya mumche l'rabim, okay, done afilu b'yachid, that a specialist in such cases may judge even as a single person, right? Hachanami, here too, nikdashei b'yichidin, let him sanctify it on his own as one, right? Kamash mela. So well, except for Moshe Rabbeinu. And even in that case, Kadosh Baruch Hu says to him, right? What did he tell him? Ad de'ika Aharon b'hadah. Until Aaron came, you still can't make the decision on your own. Why? Dichtiv, because the pasuk says, "Vayomer Hashem el Moshe v'el Aharon," and he spoke to Moshe and Aaron. Va'eretz Mitzrayim le'mor hachodesh hazeh lachem. Spoke to the both of them, implying that therefore you needed the two. What happens? L'meimra the aid ne'aseh dayan. This seems to say that in such a case, a witness can also act as a judge. Is that really the possibility? Lema matnete the loka Rabbi Akiva. If that's the case, then we would have to say that our Mishnah doesn't follow the perspective of Rabbi Akiva. The Tanya who taught Sanhedrin Shara'ui Echad Shaharag Shara'u Echad Shaharag et Hanefesh. If members of the Sanhedrin saw an individual killed, right? Someone, Miktsatan ne'asu edim, u'miktatam ne'asu dayanim, divrei Rabbi Tarfon. Some of them may act as witnesses, and some may act as judges, according to the view of Rabbi Tarfon. Rabbi Akiva Omer, Kulan ne'asem edim. All are considered witnesses, and a witness cannot become a dayan. I think we'll stop right there. Okay, and we'll pick up tomorrow. All right, we could go to the Mishnah, but I have a feeling people need to get going.
No, that's okay. I looked ahead. I cheated.
So the Gemara simply says, real quick to finish up, Za'afilu tema Rabbi Akiva. You might even say our Mishnah is between Rabbi Akiva. Why? Ad kan lo kama Rabbi Akiva hatan. Rabbi Akiva only said it in that regard. Elabidi name nefashot, the Rachamana Amar, but rather only in capital cases where the Torah says v'shaftu ha'edah v'hitzilu ha'edah, that the group must judge and the group must also save. Kevan shechazyuhu shekatal nafshen, since they saw that somebody was killed, lo matzu chazi le zechuta, they're not able to find the merit of val hacha afilu Rabbi Akiva. In other words, the same Beis also has to be able to acquit, just as they're able to convict. But here we're saying about here, okay, even Rabbi Akiva would agree, okay, in our case, that it would be possible. We'll stop right there. We'll review that on the top tomorrow and then pick up with a new. Okay? All right. And I will try to make sure to bring my phone.
Or get the-
Thank you, Ken.
Okay. Sorry, guys.
Maybe they'll give you the password.
No, I really, I have, for some reason, I have no.
Yes, but the connection.
Right?
Thank you.
Even my apartment, I'm ready to attack. That's finished.
You were saying at the beginning
of the study, you said it would be nice that both of us was on it, is that one? Right. So Debbie was much happier.
Oh, I'm in from the open sky.
Oh, okay.
That's, thank you.
Okay. Did we connect today? Tehillim, it says, Shmuel is equivalent to Moshe and Aaron.
Yeah. But there is, somebody wrote I remember years back reading an